It's been another crazy weeks for Yu-Gi-Oh! Vintage cards. Let's talk about it. Notice this pimp watch. Basically, I was thinking, how can you take me seriously as a hype beast without a golden pimp watch? So this thing, $5 on eBay, fake as shit, doesn't even work. Literally the arms aren't turning. You see the second thing? It's not even turning. Also, we have the green light. So whenever the market's up, the light will be green. That's gonna be exciting. When there's positive news, green. When shit hits the fan, red. So, more all-time highs. Absolutely wild shit. So stick around for all the prices because wow, I think these past weeks have seen more growth on specific cards than a lot of months before. You know, we had our crazy up and then slight stagnation and a crazy up and slight stagnation and now another like, wow. Okay, let's go over them. So on March 13, we had a Black Skull Dragon MRD first edition sell for $4,700. MRD Black Skull. Black Skull's cool. Black Skull is an epic moment for people who are fans of Yugi and Joey. Them just fusing these main monsters together against the twins. And it's also the cover card of MRD. So a very epic card. I don't have anything against this price whatsoever. I sadly don't own it, but it's whatever. You can't own all the things. Next, we had a PSA 10 Gem Mint Dark Magician Girl MFC Unlim for 3.5k. Note that MFC was never reprinted in Unlim in the same way as LOB, MRD, IOC, and all of that stuff. So when you buy a Dark Magician Girl MFC Unlim, you are buying Unlim, but you do know that it's an old Unlim. Now, there is still a risk in that, because who knows, maybe one day Konami goes, hey, here's Magician Pack Duelist League 69 and you can have 3 MFC packs and some Ghost Rare Dark Magician meets Dark Magician Girl kind of thing. Who knows, right? So it is possible that they reprint that in Unlim, and so you are taking on a little bit of risk. Now, the one thing you do have going for you is that that would come out after the old surds that this card is in. So if your Dark Magician Girl Unlim has a PSA 26 something cert, the new reprint packs could have never been graded in that. Now, of course, there will probably also be other differences with which you can differentiate, but that's a pretty easy one. Regardless, again, always be a bit more careful around Unlim. Next, we had a Dark Paladin MFC first edition PSA 10 sell for 4.3k. This took a while. Like, this card has been hovering, and obviously it's cool, but everyone was fapping over the corrected art, but here we are. The wrong art at 4.3k. With MFC boxes now selling for insane prices, that also makes sense. Like, be aware, MFC is probably the second most expensive Duel Monsters era Yu-Gi-Oh box. I know it's quite a bit of a late one compared to LOB, MRD, and all of these earlier sets, but it just has some of the most iconic monsters, and there are just not many out there. Like, it's relatively easy to still find an MRL or a PSV, but a Magician's Force is just almost never for sale. So honestly, when you are paying 4.3k for an Ultra of MFC and paying 4.7k for an Ultra of MRD, but your MFC is so much higher in price and harder to find, I feel maybe that's still cheap. I don't know though, I'm no financial advisor. Go to a proper financial advisor if you need financial advice. Next up, we had a first edition PSA 9 Dark Magician Girl for $4,850. Wow, it is Dark Magician Girl. I will keep on simping for Dark Magician Girl on this channel. It's literally about the iconic value of Dark Magician Girl as a brand. She will keep on winning. Honestly, Blue Eyes, Dark Magician Girl, and then you guys can fight over Dark Magician, Red Eyes, or Exodia. I don't care. I like them all. But those first two, you can't argue with me. And I don't even own a 10 Dark Magician Girl. I just have a raw one being graded right now. She should honestly hire me for PR. It's kind of crazy. Next up, we have a Dark Magician LOB first edition raw for $3,000. Wow. Now, the person in the description said, great condition. So, what more do you want, right? Next up, we had a Mystical Elf LOB first edition PSA 9 sell for $848, which for 9, pretty high. Then we had a DDS Exodia PSA 10 sell again for $2,850, which is 100 higher than the $2,750 we saw last month, twice in a row. So good for Exodia. People are really picking them up at these prices, and it's interesting how liquid the card is. Like, it comes up and it comes up and it comes up, and people keep picking it off the market. Which is interesting because if you are currently looking for a LOB first edition PSA 9 or 10, they come on the market and they're gone, but for that reason they actually barely come onto the market. Almost no one's selling LOB gradable or graded cards. Because people just assume they're only going up. Why the fuck would I sell these right now? They're the most liquid assets, so worst comes to worst, I can still sell them in this market, right? Crazy stuff. So seeing the DDS 10s come to market consistently, you know, it makes me kind of nervous around the card, but it is still beautiful, beautiful rarity. And if you're buying Exodia and you're being, you know, priced out of LOB, that's the only alternative. There is nothing else. Next up, we had a PSA 10 LOBE Blue Eyes White Dragon Unlimited. Sell for $4,446. I don't know why. It has two bad things going for it. It's Unlim and it's EU. Still a way to own a Blue Eyes in a 10, but I don't know. Bit of a weird one, but I still wanted to throw it in there. Maybe you have a thought on it. Maybe you're like, wow, but it's different. Maybe it doesn't get reprinted in the same way. You don't have Walmart here. Well, I don't know about that, buddy. Next up, we have a framed uncut sheet that I thought was pretty cool. I forgot which set was it. Oh, PSV. Okay, that's cool. So a Pharaoh Servant uncut sheet. Like I said before, these uncut sheets are kind of heating up right now. I don't own any, full disclosure. I would love to own one because this is like a piece of art you can put up. A PSA card, you can't put it up. You know, one PSA card in a frame. If I put that behind me, you won't even notice. It's just too small. But a full uncut sheet, you're like, wow, that's really cool. You show off a bunch of cards, it's a rare item. So this PSV one sold for 3.9k, which is pretty wild. The frame was pretty cool because it had 2,000 Eyes Restrict and a Legendary Fisherman, so you did get a really, really nice frame. Sometimes you have weaker frames where you only have like one of the Chase Ultras because it depends on where it was cut off. So seeing the 2,000 Eyes Restrict is pretty cool. Also set dependent, I guess. But yeah, 3.9k for this bad baby. Next up, we had a Rainbow Dragon Ghost Rare First Edition for 4.7k. Once again, some ghosts are on fire and others are alright. And Rainbow Dragon is great. It's one of those iconic GX cards, Ghost Rare, super hard to grade. All those Ghost Rares from back then, all scratched up. Getting them in a 10, super hard. Honestly, it's a beautiful card. The only thing I don't like about Rainbow Dragon Ghost Rare is the fact that I really like all of the colors in Rainbow Dragon. And so if you are a fan of the color palette of Rainbow Dragon, too bad. In Ghost, it's completely white. Regardless, it's still a really cool card. It's just like, I don't know, I would want to own both the Secret and the Ghost of that particular card. Next up, we had a Blue Eyes White Dragon LOB First Edition Raw for 3k. Now, I don't know how good the condition was. Again, if it's raw, you gotta ask yourself, why is that person not grading it? In the title, it says excellent, so I'm assuming it's not even near mint. 3k, alright, I just wanted to give it to you so you know, okay, what are these raws actually selling for? Next up, we had a LOB PSA 9 First Edition Red Eyes Black Dragon for 4.5k. Red Eyes is extremely, I wanna say underappreciated because of how much love Blue Eyes is getting. So yeah, 4.5. Next up, we had, and this one, I want to caution, I do not know if this is real. I do not feel like this is real. But I'm going to give you the information anyway, and then you can make up your own mind. We had a SDK First Edition PSA 10 Blue Eyes from Europe sell for $25,000. So you're telling me that the American, which everyone is going after, sold for 21, and that the EU, which, you know, consistently in this graded market sells for way less, usually 50% less or more or slightly less, again depends on the card kind, but generally European Duel Monsters Era cards sell for way less. And you're telling me that this SDK Blue Eyes sold for 25% more? I don't know about that. I wouldn't be so convinced. Now the one thing I do have to say, EU SDK Blue Eyes is pop 1 in PSA 10? Is that right? Did I mischeck? Is it because no one ever sent it in? Or is it because it's that rare? I'm gonna say it's because no one ever sent it in. I have 2 of these grading right now. I don't know if they'll jump. I think each of them had like a small issue. So maybe they're 8s, maybe they're 9s, I don't know. But these aren't particularly way more rare than American. They are more rare. Like, remember that. In Europe you had, you know, first of all, way less people than in NA, but then also you had different languages. Sometimes, like you had your German and you had your Portuguese and Spanish. So different countries got different languages. And so the regular E denomination is more rare. But is it wanted enough to make up for that? I don't know. So the 25k, I'm covering it. It's interesting to see. I would profit greatly if it's true, but watch out. Next up, this one is wow. We had a Cyberstein Shonen Jump prize card, PSA 9, sell for $21,500. So I actually had someone, the seller of this card, hit me up on Instagram. I was like, wow, this price. And he said, it's confirmed. This was paid for. So PSA 9, Stein, 21K. Wow. First Shonen Jump prize card. You've heard me simp for this card plenty, I feel, at this point. Broken beyond belief when it came out. Emergency banned. Super iconic for the competitive player. Not so much for the anime fan. But it's up there. It's up there. Next up, we had a Time Wizard first edition PSA 10 MRD sell for $3,700. Now this one was wild. Time Wizard hadn't really been selling as often as the other ones. And so we saw the Summoned Skull go to 4K. We saw the Black Skull Dragon go to 4.7. But the last sale for Time Wizard publicly had been for 2.3. And all of the people I was talking to were like, this makes no sense. How are these Black Skull and Summoned Skull, which are awesome cards by the way, 4K and 4.7, while Time Wizard, another super iconic Ultra, is 2.3. There is just no way in hell. Now I also spoke to Book of Ken, by the way, on this channel. About this, we were like, yeah, that just doesn't make sense. And so I started looking for one. I was like, well, if it's 2.3, I'm going to start looking for one. I looked. I asked people, no one was moving. 2.3 was not actually market price. I couldn't find any of them at that price. There was a seller who had one up for 4K. I asked him, okay, do you want to sell it for 2 point whatever? And then he said, I want 3K. And I said, no. And then the guy took it off eBay. The auction went on, and then luckily I still ended up finding one. Another friend of mine actually put up one for sale on his Instagram for 4K and started getting interest, and then he pulled it down again because he didn't want to sell it 4K. So that is interesting. Time Wizard just had the best from zero to hero story that this market has seen. Went from 2.3, where again there hadn't been any sales really recently anymore. The other Ultras went up. He was kind of left behind, and then the auction, this one, went on actually at the same time as Thousand Dragon. And the interesting thing was, we were wondering which one would win. You had a Thousand Dragon and a Time Wizard. Both cards are obviously linked together because of the story in the anime. Thousand Dragon is a secret, Time Wizard is an Ultra, and they were gonna end really, really closely together. So it was kind of like a race. And just watching the race unfold was interesting because Thousand Dragon actually ended at like 3.4, something in that range, you know, somewhere in the 3K range. Thousand Dragon ended earlier than Time Wizard, and at that time, Time Wizard was still under 3K, so we were like, wow, is Thousand Dragon gonna win? But then, Time Wizard auction ended, boom, 3.7, and so it ended up beating the Thousand Dragon, which it should, in my opinion. Thousand Dragon is cool, but in my opinion, it's no Time Wizard. You know, from MRD, Thousand Dragon is the lesser secret. You can't really compete with Gate Guardian if you're a Thousand Dragon, in my opinion. So yeah, wild market. Stuff's just still been up. That's why the light is green right now. And I can keep on hyping with the Pimp Watch, right? Hope you found it interesting. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you soon. Ciao.